Welcome. Is the so-called drone situation really a drone situation? What's the real truth? Frankly, most of what you're hearing out there and seeing is total speculation with no high intelligence level. Col Randy Cramer has a military intelligence clearance, and he recently posted a video about what's going on. Why might you want to listen to me? My name is Daryl Ufton, and I've been researching these sorts of things for over a decade now. I've been an alternative medicine practitioner for 40 years. I have a diploma, or 2 diplomas in acupuncture, a postgraduate diploma in Chinese herbal medicine, and a postgraduate diploma in management studies. I'm a member of the Chinese Medical Council of New Zealand, and I've been studying alternative medicine for 40 years. Why might you want to listen to Col Randy Cramer? Well, Col Randy Cramer is a field officer of the US Marine Corps. This is all information that I've gleaned from the 10 years plus of researching into this, and time that I've spent in discussions privately and publicly and on Zoom calls with Col Randy. Over the last 6 to 7 years or so, I've been in personal communication with him on and off, and I'm a student in his Psionics course, which he has been teaching for a number of years now, at the approval of his superiors. He was asked by his superiors and sanctioned by them to come out publicly in 2013, which is when I first became aware of him. He stated that he's a super soldier, a genetically engineered super soldier, and that he is protected by his superiors, and that he's been authorized or sanctioned to disseminate this information to the public. And why should you believe that? Well, the US military is very particular about people claiming that they're military personnel. If you're not, then they will eventually throw you in jail if you don't continue to claim that, if you do continue to claim that you are. So if you don't stop claiming that you are. And excuse me. Also, he's still alive. When he first started coming out publicly with this sort of information over 10 years ago, there would have been a lot of people, people in powers that shouldn't be, that would have wanted to have him killed if he was disseminating this sort of information. So, and also, he's passed a lie detector test. I've seen video evidence that he passed a lie detector test from a top lie detection operator in the US, who I think from memory was doing lie detection for the police force in California, I think, for a long time. Unfortunately, the video evidence of that has been scrubbed from the internet during the pandemic phase, yeah, he definitely passed a lie detector test. I saw that with my own eyes. Evidence of him, actually videos of him going through the lie detector test, and the doctor that did the test stating that certainly he was not lying. And so in March of 2020, Col Randy came out and was interviewed by a number of people on YouTube. And he's been interviewed by Emery Smith on Gaia a number of times as well. But he said in March of 2020 that, according to his intelligence, that there was going to be a 5-phase process. Well, he explained that beforehand in a series of videos, which I will publish on this site soon as backup to this, so that you can get a more complete picture of why this is happening. But he said that there would be a 5-phase process, that there would be more viruses, that there's only one virus that had come out at that time. He said that there would be at least 3, and one would come out of Africa. That has happened. that phase 2 would be civil unrest worldwide. That has happened. Phase 3 would be World War III. We've unofficially been in World War III for a couple of years now, at least, since what's been happening in Ukraine and in the Middle East. And if you look back in history, you'll find that World Wars I and II were not announced when they were happening. They were announced towards the end of them or after them. And that phase 4 would be the planned hoax alien invasion, but it's going to be real. There's going to be real aliens, and they will kill you if you get near them. So don't, if you see them, head in the other direction, go home, and stay indoors and listen to reputable news reports about what's going on. But everyone's going to see spaceships in the sky and battles going on in the sky and super soldiers, etc. Yeah, so unfortunately, well, so why a planned hoax alien invasion? Well, because it's essentially a disclosure event. So it's to disclose the technologies that have been hidden from the public for close to 100 years now, since before the Second World War. There's evidence that the Germans had anti-gravity vehicles, and so yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the interviews that Colonel Randy had have been removed from the internet, from YouTube during the pandemic, but some of them are still on his website, so I'll put them in the description below. I've known Colonel Randy probably for about 7 years now personally. As I said, I'm a student of doing his psionics course. Psionics is what most people call psychic abilities, and there's a number of them. There's a big long list of them. Telepathy, telekinesis, is just 2 of them. There's a big long list of them, and it's actually a science, and it's governed by the laws of physics and mathematics and brainwaves, according to Colonel Randy. So yeah, he was asked by his superiors to go public with his experiences to educate the public about what's really going on. And the special section of the Marine Corps was developed by President Ike Eisenhower, who is famous for his military-industrial complex speech when he left office, which I'm pretty sure can still be found on the internet. The only evidence that I could find that Colonel Randy passed a lie detector test is in an article by Dr Michael Salla in exopolitics.org, from Secret Space Program Insider to Psionics Trainer. In that article, it states that Colonel Randy had undergone a lie detector, and it was confirmed that he was not deceptive, and he discusses the results in that interview. I don't earn an income from this YouTube channel or from publishing this video. I'm just doing it as a public service. And so I will post the old lectures that Colonel Randy did in 2019 on the planned invasion. And here's what Colonel Randy published just over a week ago about the drone situation and the very likely invasion happening between the 8th and 15th of January of this new year now. I hope you enjoy it. And lastly, the recommendations are to have an emergency kit, to keep well away from any activity that you see. If you see it, go home, like I said, stay indoors, don't open the doors. If you see them, just think to yourself, no, don't put any aggro energy towards them. Just turn the other direction and get away from them as soon as you can.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to cover this as quickly as possible. So chronological order, if we go back to the beginning of December, There were incidents over RAF bases in the UK where known to have nuclear weapons stored at them, a number of them. RAF Lankenheath, RAF Mildenhall, RAF Feltwell, and RAF Fearford. That's what was listed there. And also a over Langley CIA headquarters. They CIA called NASA to get NASA to bring an aircraft, take pictures. So that presumes that the CIA's own equipment, which is good, right? Some of the best equipment ever, some of the best reconnaissance planes ever, satellites. CIA has satellites, but apparently they needed to call NASA for their special reconnaissance plane. That's very curious to me. I mean, I don't have a specific answer for that, but logic would dictate that somehow there was a piece of equipment in that NASA reconnaissance plane that could detect, see, sense something that the CIA reconnaissance equipment and satellites could not. That's a little logic spot in there, but don't know more than that. Don't have any facts about that. And this is my favorite bit. Boeing satellite just blew up in orbit. Nobody knows. Nobody says why. Nobody's got an explanation for it. No one says like something hit it or it just blew up by no one. Yeah. And then about 2 weeks ago, um, New Jersey started to blow up. And within a couple of weeks, they'd had 3,000 sightings. And that was about a week ago. And then within the last week, that's gone up to 6,000 sightings. So that's a, quite a lot of activity. And then also very quickly in the last 10 days or week and a half or so, week and a half, that activity has also spread down to Pennsylvania, up to the northeastern states, over to New York. Mayor Staten Island gave a press conference where he was very angry that, his next door neighbor had taken a video of some object, some drone, which I'll get to that in a second, was right over his house. And he was getting no answers as to what it was from federal officials. DHS seems to have been no help to anybody on the ground. The mayors and congresspersons in Jersey have been very frustrated, very angry, near panic levels of, press conferences and really kind of getting angry and shaking their fists and freaking out a little bit. To the credit of the New Jersey State Police, they've really actually tried to collate the most information and provide the most information to the general public. They've done a fabulous job. So well done, gentlemen. And especially in time and in place when everyone else is acting like a chicken with their head cut off and acting like just complete morons. And certainly the level of information that's coming from federal sources, from the executive branch, from DHS, from the FBI is utter nonsense. It's just utter nonsense. And I can, so in an atmosphere where there's so much utter nonsense, again, tap hit to the New Jersey State Police for being a voice of sanity and reason in all of this. Good job. The governor hasn't said much other than that he appeared to observe some of these. And I know some people are making fun about him seeing Orion, but that's a cherry pick statement. There's another statement that he made where he had seen observations of them having searchlights and spotlights shown on them and have them going dark. So he actually has had better visual sightings than that ignorant error of seeing Orion's belt and thinking that it was spaceships. Some people have cherry picking a few cases of people misidentifying objects in the sky and saying they're just planes and so forth. That's happening very little. Very, very little. It is happening. There is some misidentifications occurring. Yes, it is not 100% perfection there, but it's a small percentage, and people who are cherry picking that are cherry picking to try and make everyone else look bad or dumb, which Again, people in New Jersey are getting really fed up with because they know they're not stupid and they know what they're looking at in the sky, and some of them are coming down very, very low, and they know what they're getting and seeing, and that no one's really giving them good responses or explaining things to them, and they're pissed about it, justifiably, really pissed about it. As of this recording, we haven't still heard much from the officials. DOD spokespeople have said very little, other than we don't know what it is, it's fine, and then a bunch of other mishmash of crap, which is ridiculous when it has been bounced back to them by reporters asking questions, saying, pointing out things like McGuire Air Force Base had to shut down its airspace. New York Airport, Municipal Airport, had to shut down its airspace. A life copter was prevented from taking off. No one died, thank goodness, but a life was put in jeopardy because someone couldn't get to the hospital, via life flight, and an Air Force base had to shut down its airspace. There's an emergency and they need jets in the air and their airspace is shut down. That's a vulnerability. That's not good. That's not safe to say that the Air Force can't just put jets up in any fucking second that they want to, because that's what they're supposed to be able to do. That's their job. Get jets up in the air at the push of a button, at a phone call, snap of a finger, anytime, day or night, 24/7, 365. It's in their mission statements. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say it's not endangering anyone when it's clearly getting in the way of normal military operations, civilian operations, safe operations, and say you don't know what it is when clearly you got to know something more than you're telling, because the response is not what it would normally be if it was really something that we didn't know. If it was really just some unknown, hostile foreign actor, we'd be shooting stuff down left and right. The reason they're not shooting things down has to be because they have an understanding somehow that that's not an advisable tactic, which means they do know something more than they're certainly saying about that. So just a lot of like nonsensical answers from the federal response at this point. The exception to that would be that the Senate Intelligence Committee did get like a 3.5 hour briefing from Department of Homeland Security. I would imagine in a much longer briefing than the 30, 40-minute briefings that other people have been talking about getting from DHS, which are pointless and useless. Those are quotes. Pointless, useless briefings. That a 3.5 hour one that they're giving to the Senate Intelligence Committee is probably better, more informative, but members of the committee are being very tight-lipped. They're not saying anything. Very interesting interview that Bernie Sanders was giving earlier in the week. He seemed tight-lipped and shaken. And when asked if he knew anything, he was just like, no, I don't know anything other than what I've read in the papers, which is not true. That's just kind of a lie. It's totally a lie. There was a briefing that was given to Congress, again, that most people said was pointless, but he has friends in the Senate. And even if the senators are being tight-lipped in front of reporters, that doesn't mean that they're not whispering, or nudging some of their friends to let them know a little bit about what's going on here. No, he seemed, for someone as verbose as he was very, short sentence answer, shut up his mouth, short, it was very short, and he was very brief, unlike him. And when pressed on whether he felt that it was a danger to the public, he did say, no, I don't think so. But then when asked if he was concerned, he fumbled a little and was like, yes, I am concerned. So, and then I mean, you could see his mouth, like when someone's clamming up their own mouth and they bite down, clamp their lips closed. He was doing that gesture. It wasn't just, I'm done speaking. It was, I'm done and I'm clamping my mouth shut. It was a visible gesture. You can watch the interview with Kristen Welker and you can see it for yourself if you want to. It's very important to note that a majority of these objects of whatever type we're talking, both types that we're talking about, have been seen over military installations, a place, Picatinny Arsenal, which is a weapons development facility, not just where they keep the bullets, and McGuire Air Force Base, nuclear weapons storage space, a naval weapons storage facility. And interestingly enough, in my research, I also found out that a lot of people are saying, why New Jersey? And it turns out, as much as I don't have a specific answer for that, it does turn out historically that Hudson County, New Jersey is a top 5 sighting spot in the US. It's an absolutely uh, rife with activity area for decades. Why? I don't know. Don't have an answer for that. But it's an active spot. It's a very, 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 very active spot and has been for ever. Things have to start somewhere. I was really hoping it would be Grover's Mill. We're hearing reports also in the other superpowers, so Russia, China, that kind of rules out that it's the Chinese or the Russians, unless everybody's droning each other, which is not happening. But there is also these elevated levels of activity, and I'm sure domestic Chinese drone activity in China and domestic Russian drone activity in Russia. Everyone's sending up their own, super expensive drones and autonomous vehicles to smokescreen mostly. I don't know that they're even needing to do it to observe the other ETV and ARVs, but mostly it appears to be smokescreen. The more people are looking at drones that have propellers on them, the fewer people who are looking at uh, NHI mechanized type, the less people are looking at ETVs and ARVs. So it seems to be spreading all over and increasing density, range, distance. It's big, it's huge. We're going up thousands of sightings per week, going up in numbers of thousands of sightings per week. So why, okay, we definitely have different categories of drones. There are a number of what they're calling a fixed wing type drone, which is like a little airplane. Think of like a big model airplane. It's too small for a pilot to possibly be inside of it unless they're 12 inches tall, which they're not. These things have propellers on them. They're made here. They're being operated by alphabet agencies, or they would be brought down, shot down. The only way that they're able to operate at this level with impunity in U.S. airspace over and near and around military and classified and sensitive installations is because they belong to us. They have to. Logically, let's just follow this along. There's no way they could be anything else and continue to be doing this for this length of time. There's no answer that we just be sitting around while some other foreign adversary or someone just spied on and observed, our sensitive locations and military installations. We simply would not be doing that. To suggest that we would is to suggest that we're incompetent, that the military is incompetent, and they're not. So anytime, and historically, this is actually a tell. Historically, when the military doesn't want the public to know what they did or what they know or what they're doing, they appear to be incompetent. They sort of release information. We didn't know, and it's not our job. It got right past us. They make it appear as if they're completely incompetent, so that they don't have to actually say what they're doing, how they knew something, or what's happening. It's a common tactic historically that they've used again and again. So it's a tell. By them implying that they're sort of incompetent at the moment. Who, what, us, the military, do shit? What do you mean? Is an indication that they're hiding something huge, because otherwise there's just certain things you'd admit to. You just tell. If they were an easy truth, you'd admit to them, you'd say them, you wouldn't have to hide or conceal them. And your spokespeople wouldn't come out and talk like they're crapping their pants. So John Kirby talks like he's crapping his pants. Bernie Sanders like he was dropping a turd in his pants. I didn't catch the 3-star Air Force general who did that other like an hour-long briefing. He was crapping himself, lying left and right too, saying, well, there's X number of commercial drones out there, and this is almost certainly accounts for the number that we're seeing. Now, FAA regulations, drone regulations are such that commercial, personally, domestically operated, civilian operated drones cannot operate after dark. They cannot operate near these facilities. Anything over 50 pounds has to have a special permit. Domestic drones that you can go buy commercially have short life span batteries, nothing near what the power sources and these other objects are using. Their size, manufacture, the technology that's being used is clearly way more advanced than commercial, clearly. So again, those are all just horse crap answers whenever they say that. And they've continued to, really repeat that. Got some other people in the media and so forth to also repeat that, trying to like keep everybody calm, trying to calm everybody down. So, but that again seems to be a smoke screen. So what we're seeing as far as vehicles, which are clearly being identified by ARV, ETV characteristics, which outperforming interceptors, outperforming jet fighters, chasing them, extended hovering, loitering capabilities, size, ability to go dark, disappear when you look at them or shine lights on them, complete silent running. Some of them have no infrared signature. That's huge. Um, Not only is not having an infrared signature not about like generating or showing that you're generating heat. It's about heat differential. So in a thermal scan, an object that is warmer than or cooler than the air surrounding it will show up as a different shade or a different color, depending on the optics that you're looking through, right? So in order for an object to appear as if it has no infrared signature, it has to appear to be or be the air temperature around it, the like precise air temperature, like precise air temperature, or again, it will start to show up as a different shade coloration by just being off in very tiny margins. It would have to be really right in there to show no infrared signature. That is a level of technology that is clearly advanced and not just cheap, regular old technology that we're using. It's clear that even stuff we're using in military theaters don't have those capabilities. They're operating at 15,000 to 20,000 feet, which is well above drone operation space. Again, FAA regs, 400 feet, 500 feet, anything over that, you're breaking the law. So again, that's another reason why we know these drones are not commercially operated. There are also signals that if you have a commercially operated drone, certainly in the state of New Jersey and a lot of other states, you have to have, it's not called a transponder, but it's a signaling squawk that so that if you have one of the apps, the FAA apps, the drone apps, it will tell you what every object in the sky is. So again, a lot of the quote unquote misidentifications are not misidentifications by people who are looking at these apps telling them, oh, that is a plane. Oh, that is a helicopter. Oh, that is a civilian operated drone because my app tells me that it is. Oh, that's not on my app. That's not showing up. That's not. Therefore, those are not things that are FAA approved at the moment. So indicating again that they're not flying legally, which again, the only way that they could be flying not legally and continue to fly is if they're military intelligence operative, operated by military intelligence personnel somewhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to exist in the airspace at all. Some people are seeing blue plasma glow. Again, that's a sign that we're talking ATV, ARV. Some eyeballs have been on seeing them come in and out of the water off the ocean. State trooper saw 50 of them coming off the ocean. There's a lot at once. As I was asking myself the question, is this the big one that I have been predicting for some time now? And the more information I got, and the more I was learning and digesting everything, my percentage estimating kept going up. I started out going, well, we got about a 40% chance. This is the big one. And then it's like, oh, 50% chance. This is the big one. 60, ooh, 70, 80. And then, I got told, here's a window. Here's a window of dates. It's like, you sure about that? Yeah, sure. And then within 48 hours, 72 of that, I got other cross confirmations all around me and from some other people in the field who were saying, yep, that's it. This is happening. That's the window. This is what's going on. And so it appears that all signs are pointing to, yes, this would be the big one. Now, the biggest question that has to be on everyone's mind, and I know this because people keep asking me this, what does that mean? What's this going to be? What's going on? And so we've heard some different explanations, different narratives. I have said more than once that this will be likely to be a kerfuffle. There are some people who have emphasized very heavily that this is going to be fake. It has also been suggested by me that this could be the equivalent of United Nations intervention compliance, and that we are being put to a point of compliance, legal intergalactic compliance. Which of those things is true? I stand by the statements that I've made in the past. I stand by my assessment of the intelligence that has come across my desk. I stand by two things. It appears to be even more clear to me at the moment that the risk to the civilian population is minimal, incredibly minimal. It's what I'm being told. If I am wrong about that, sorry, but I am continued to be told and reassured that the civilian population is not supposed to be put under tremendous amounts of stress for tremendous amounts of time. Do I know exactly what that means? No. But I don't believe that means that people need to store up months worth of food or water or stack up on their machine guns or anything like that. I don't think any of that's necessarily relevant. As I've suggested, disaster kits are a great idea to have for anyone, no matter where you live in any part of the country, in a part of the world. Disasters can happen. Having a few extra days of food and water and candles and all that stuff is never a bad idea. But I do not believe that we need to be prep level prepared. Again, if I'm wrong about that, super sorry, but that's the information as it's coming to me and that I'm relaying it to you. Second of all, while it is my understanding that the civilian population is not in any major jeopardy, that does not mean that there will not be civilian casualties. It means that the civilian population is not the target. While that is true, or my understanding is that is true, military personnel, that's a different story. So if you are, or military personnel, this, my advice to you is be prepared for a fight. I don't know what kind of a fight that means. I don't know how long that's supposed to last. I don't know whether fighting that fight or surrendering from that fight is the best idea at this point. It's not for me to say for anybody right now, but if I am to understand anything that's going to happen, if there's going to be any conflict, it is going to be from arms of the military intelligence complex, which are not conducive to compliance. So, who's right? Who's wrong? What's happening? I'm giving you my opinion based on the intelligence that I have been given. I am not telling you that I know with a certainty. I'm telling you I've got about a 99% probability that I'm given that everything that I have said has been brought to me correctly and that is what's going to happen. Again, if I'm wrong, sorry. But from what I'm hearing around the community. If I'm wrong, we're all wrong because everyone who's anybody is pointing to this window. And so if we're wrong about this being a disclosure event, then we're all wrong. Which again is kind of more indicative to me that we're right, that we are definitely talking about a disclosure event. What type? Dr. Greer seems very convinced, of course, that it's a fakery thing. I say it's a intervention thing. Some people may still think it may look like, might have the experience of it being more like an invasion. But the bottom line is, we're about to find out. The mystery is going to end soon. And it's no longer going to be a question of whether I'm right, someone else is right, neither of us are right. We're about to find out. So buckle up, sleep tight. And I chatted with Emery Smith, and we're going to do a live presentation on this super soon. We're going to press release is coming. And I'm sure I've got a scheduling a live event probably later this week as well. So we will be updating, talking about it more. There'll be an opportunity for folks to ask questions, and we'll do our best to get everybody up to speed on what's happening, and hopefully, um, keep people from panic levels. I don't think we need to panic. Doesn't mean it's not going to be weird and messed up, but I don't think panic is going to help anybody. But again, if you are military personnel, strap in tight. Keep your helmet handy. And also, don't pick dumb fights. So, if something looks way bigger than you and it's got a way bigger gun than you, I'm not saying now's a good time to die for your country or for your planet. So that's about all I have to say about that. All right, so stay tuned.